So while we're talking about employment equity, many of you noticed that during the pandemic, there was a great use of technology to deliver goods to communicate in a way that we haven't before in groups, remote working, for instance, as well as the creation of new apps to cover other parts of our lives that we didn't think would happen before. So for the jobs of the future, clearly technology skills are going to be needed by women. So there's been pre-pandemic an emphasis on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math for girls and women. So it's now my pleasure to introduce to you two sets of presentation, one from Chile, from two vice ministers. One is the Vice Minister of Telecommunications, Pamela Gidi. So if she could please turn on her video and join us. She has a strong business background. She was with Walt Disney, DirecTV, Hasbro, many business organizations. She has an MBA from UCLA, as well as the London School of Economics. The other co-presenter is Carolina Cuevas, and she's the Undersecretary of Women and Gender Equity in Chile. And she too has a strong business background, but from financial services. She had an NGO that was interesting. She led the formation of NGO called Mad Red, which, or Red Mad, did I get that right? Which tries to push for leadership, corporate leadership in Chile. So ladies, looking forward to hear from you.
Thank you very much to all of you. It's a pleasure to be here representing Chile together with Vice Minister of Women and Equity, Gender Equity. I would like to start my intervention. I am the Vice Minister of Telecommunications from Chile by pointing out that one of our main purposes as a government is to increase the presence and job opportunities of girls and women, especially in the most technical industry that have been basically dominated or mostly represented by men. This, since according to the Ministry of Women and Gender Equality from our country, only 1 in 4 enrollments in STEAM careers correspond to the female gender. Furthermore, if I look at my sector in the technology field, only 5% of the workforce occupied together in Chile in the technical field, only 5% are women. Obviously, this is a segment that's growing, that is important, the salaries are good as well, so we need to push for further participation of the women. In this sense, we have developed different initiatives in this matter, of which I will refer to 3, as well as Carolina later on will mention another 3 that we will talk about in this roundtable. But she's obviously the leading of this objective of this road of our country, and she interacts with all the ministries that had to do and then can do something about this issue. First of all, we have developed a social plan for digital development. This is done by our Telecommunications and Transport Ministry. This initiative is supported by the Inter-American Development Bank that has worked along with us, which contemplates 2 things. First of all, a complete diagnosis of girl and women in digital inclusion in Chile, so we can do special projects, especially education, because women, if you look at 1 in 4 women in Chile doesn't even know how to use a smartphone. So we have a long way to go in this matter. Also, together with this bank, we did a virtual contest called Girls in ICT, and we invited women from all Chile between 10 and 18 years old to present projects to reduce digital divide in our country and improve their community with the use with technology. This has a very good welcome. stimulates the girls. Also, they were promoted with only women allowed to participate, but we have also got a lot of kind of hackathons or different programs to educate and promote programming for women, along with different NGOs that are specific, targeting, giving these skills to women. Also, we have a plan that's called More Women in Science, initiative that, along with the Ministry of Women and Science, that seeks encourage more girls and women to choose STEM careers, promoting and incentivizing girls and women to choose careers focusing on science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and so on. With this, we not only seek to increase female developer participation, but also to increase the presence of women in historically masculine careers, since until now there is low participation, as I mentioned before, due to a series of gaps as a consequence of very strong stereotypes that are reproduced from childhood in our families and teachers and social environment. Thirdly, we have the Gender Equality Council in Science, Technology, and Knowledge and Innovation, which accompanied the process of construction of gender equality policy in this area, specifically targeting scientific systems. It is composed of 10 specialists in different areas of knowledge, including experts on gender issues, communications, science, and technology. Nevertheless, I would like to point out that we are working very strongly with all the ministries of this government, led by the Ministry of Women, but not only with the government, but also with companies, all specific alliances of enterprises and different NGOs that are working specifically in topics of gender parity. So this has improved a little bit the numbers, but we have a long way to go, but make us optimistic. Now I'll give the word to Carolina. Thank you, Carolina.
Thank you, Pamela. Good afternoon for you all. My name is Carolina Cuevas, Chile's Vice Minister of Women and Gender Equality. I'm honored to be part of this roundtable, my second Global Summit of Women after Sydney 2018. Following to what Vice Minister Pamela Gidi mentioned, I will refer to 3 other initiatives that our government is promoting. First, we are convinced that in order to promote a cultural change, we must start in an unbiased education. To achieve this, our ministry is working with the Ministry of Education to implement a series of mentoring programs throughout the country to promote female participation in STEM careers. Through this effort, 1,000 mentoring sessions were carried out during 2019. We are also implementing STEM and Gender Advancement, a UNESCO global project that contributes to the promotion of women and girls in STEM by supporting relevant stakeholders in the design and implementation of policies for gender equality. The project provides methods to develop and process evidence to help evaluate policies by using gender disaggregated data and collecting new information on drivers and barriers in STEM. In addition, we have developed public-private working groups to promote women's participation in traditionally male-dominated industry. One of these is Women and Mining Roundtable, with the participation of Ministry of Mining and Ministry of Women, as well as the private sector. The group's actions are mapped by a document called Mining Industry Decalogue, which in one of its articles promotes joint work with higher education institutions, technical training center, and professional technical schools to encourage more women to study careers related to mining, a very strategic industry for Chile. Likewise, we have developed a working group with the Ministry of Energy to promote the participation of more women in energy. We have organized job fairs aimed at higher education students to bring them closer to this industry and have implemented scholarships for careers in this area. Finally, I would like to mention how important it is for us to support and collaborate with civil society organizations as well as the private sector. We have been working in alliances with, for example, Microsoft, 3M, and Johnson & Johnson, and are collaborating with successful initiatives such as Girls in Tech, Technovation, Inspiratech Award, among others. Thank you very much.
Thank you to both of you. You can't see me at the moment. We're working on it. So what I love about both of your presentations, there we are, is the engagement of not only government, but business and NGOs and academia. And I think it's that kind of partnership that it will actually move the needle for women and STEM. So thank you for that great presentation. So now I'm going to introduce to you from the other side of the world, from Thailand, the Honorable Kunying Kalaya Sophonpanich, who was the former minister, actually, of Science and Technology, but now she's Deputy Minister of Education. She comes highly engaged in this whole area. Do you know she has a doctorate, I have to say, in high energy nuclear physics from the Imperial College of London. So, Kunying Kalaya, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Irene. Friends and fellow participants, it is an honor for me to join your virtual roundtable today. I would like to talk to you today about one of the very important programs that I'm doing this year. Thailand is a tropical country that has 3 seasons, dry, hot, and wet. We have plenty of rainfall about 4 to 5 months every year that often resulted in flood at the end of the season, but we are not able to store the water for the rest of the year when there is no rain. Sadly, we use only 5.5% of the water that nature given us. Our king, late king, His Majesty Rama IX, he studied the situation and recommended we manage the water. Firstly, finding suitable places for the water and connect them by understanding the nature of water, how they move and flow, and the damage overflown water could cause. Secondly, find places for water to flow, direct the flow beneficially to our wishes and understanding basic science. Thirdly, store the water under the unconfined underground in the unconfined aquifer level to reduce evaporation and for further use. 10 years ago, I was the Ministry of Science and Technology of Thailand. I supported a village project that used the process successfully in the northeastern part of Thailand. When flood was reduced, the water became available all year round. Income of the village increased by 3 times in 3 years. The project was also supported by Coca-Cola and they show off the success at Davos in 2010. The leader of this project is, of course, a woman. Her name, we call her Auntie Noi, is mean a girl who is leading the village, and her village is Lim Thong. She successfully persuaded her village to work together to build the ponds and the canals. I visited her village and saw the transformation of her village. With water, they were able to grow crops, fruits, and vegetables throughout the year. By managing water, they become well off. Migrant worker return home to find work, better income, a family life. In Thailand, women participate in the running of their village. I observed that villages led by women are often well run. I want to scale up the process and make it available in every village in Thailand. I'm working with the agriculture colleges in rural area. Currently, we are building ponds and canals in the ground of 5 colleges. The teachers has been taught and they are applying the method with their students who are learning by doing at the same time. Nearby farmer has been invited to observe and learn. Some have already started to dig their own ponds. His Majesty believes that the process needs to be economical so that the village can afford them. It should also be made simple so that everyone can learn and apply the methods. They should adopt the new practice because they wanted to do so and not because they are forced to do so. The agriculture college are supported by the leading university, the King Mongkut University of Technology at Thonburi, who will provide advice on water management, creating the curriculum, and develop training program and research capability and improve the know-how. The American Water Solution, LLC, which has extensive experience in water management, will provide advice on engineering and hydrogeology practices. The Thai Public Policy Foundation had agreed to provide funding for the project. They had set aside $3.3 million. By early next year, we should have sufficient knowledge and know-how to standardize our process and method to expand the project to all the 47 agricultural colleges in Thailand, and for them to become the catalyst for adopting the sustainable water management practices in village of the country. I truly believe that when we follow the guidance of our late king and we can manage our water resources, we will reduce rural poverty significantly and raise the well-being of our people. The people will become self-reliant. They will build and expand on what they have learned. Actually, I also introduced, being the Minister of Education, I introduced coding for kindergarten onward since last year. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
I have video for 1 minute. Have I?
You're a little bit over, but never mind. Thank you for that presentation. What I love about it is that you created a curriculum based on actual practice. So, and now you're enlarging it to the entire country. Thank you so much, Minister, for that presentation.